So I want to start today by just sort of setting the stage for our practice. So you can feel free to just find a shape on the floor that feels comfortable. Just to sort of orient to where we are. The most important thing I want you guys to keep in mind as we move through the next 60 minutes and the practice I'm going to offer is that everything's an invitation. Okay, so you can choose what you want to try on, you can choose what to leave behind. It's like going to the store to buy clothes or something. And allow yourselves to just be curious. So if you practiced yoga before, some of the things I offer may feel similar or different, but maybe allow yourself to find your way into a new shape or just do something a little different in the shape. So just really allow yourself to be curious and explore your movement. Next, I want to sort of just talk about the space that we're in, so just sort of orienting to the space. So if you choose, you can look around with your gaze and just sort of take it in. We have two doors here, a door downstairs. People may be coming or going downstairs. Most likely people won't be coming or going in and out of these doors too much, but just to be aware that they're there. And noticing sort of the people who are around you, taking it in. I also just want to let everyone know that I'm going to remain up here on my mat throughout our practice today. So I won't be moving about the space, and I'll most likely just be seated up here on the mat. Won't be doing any hands-on adjustments or anything like that. I also am going to have my eyes open up here all the time. So there may be some times that I just invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze if that's something that you'd like to do in that moment. You never have to, but if you like to give it a try, you're welcome to. And just know I'll have my eyes open up here the whole time, so I'll be keeping the space safe for all of us. Okay. All right, so I just want to invite you to just begin to orient sort of to the immediate space around you now that we've taken in the room, just sort of noticing the edges of your mat. If you'd like to, I invite you to close your eyes or maybe just lower your gaze. Maybe keep the eyes open. The first thing I'm going to offer is a breathing exercise. You're welcome to try it on or leave it behind. You're welcome to come in and out as you choose. So as we move towards that, I invite you to just start by maybe noticing the points of connection that your body is making with the mat, or maybe with some of the props, the bolster. Noticing any textures that you're making contact with, maybe the mat or your yoga pants. Just noticing any temperature sensations that you're noticing in the body at this point. Knowing there's no expectation, there's no right or wrong. If you're not noticing anything, that's still noticing. If you'd like to join for the breathing exercise, basically I'm just going to invite you to inhale for a count of 3 and then retain the breath for a count of 3. And then exhale out just a little bit longer for a count of 4. If you'd like to join, you can begin by exhaling out all the air. And then taking a breath in for 3, 2, 1. Retaining the breath for 3, 2, 1. Exhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling for 3, 2, 1. Maybe retaining the breath for 3, 2, 1. And exhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. You're welcome to let it go or continue. Maybe inhaling for 3, 2, 1. Retaining the breath for 3, 2, 1. And exhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Allow for a few more rounds. Maybe inhaling for 3. Retaining the breath for 3. And exhaling for 4. Again, maybe inhaling for 3. Retaining the breath for 3. And exhaling for 4. Last time, inhaling for 3. Retaining the breath for 3. And exhaling for 4. You're welcome to continue in that way for a few more rounds. Or maybe just return to the natural breath. Everything that we do leaves behind a residue. So just noticing if there's a residue from this practice. Noticing any differences in how the body may be feeling between now and a few moments ago. Noticing any sensations, lightness, heaviness, temperature sensations, warmth, coolness. Maybe you're not noticing anything in particular in the moment, and that's perfectly fine as well. You're welcome from here to just continue to stay in stillness, or if you'd like to begin to link some movement with the breath, finding a little exploration of movements of the spine. You may begin just gently with the neck, taking one ear to one shoulder, maybe taking the chin down to the chest, maybe taking the ear over to the opposite shoulder, maybe making circles of the neck. And some people like to take this more into the spine, so maybe as you exhale, allowing the chin and the shoulders to drop forward. And then maybe as you inhale, rising back up, finding length through the spine, maybe a little back bend as you just lift the chin, open up the shoulders. As you move, just noticing what is. Some people like to begin to make circles with the torso, bringing the movements into a bit of a bigger space. Give yourself permission if there's something that your body's looking for that maybe I haven't mentioned. Feel free to go there, knowing that my words, what I'm offering, is never meant as a limitation. And some people may like to stay here for a little while, or maybe come onto the hands and the knees. Taking the legs around to the side, rolling over the feet to get there. Just moving at your own pace, in your own way, and your own time. Maybe when you arrive on your hands and feet, finding a shape like a tabletop. Feeling the flat back of the top of the table. Maybe just noticing the connection that the hands are making with the mat. noticing any textures. You can tuck the toes behind you or keep the toes long, connecting the tops of the feet to the mat. And then again, lots of options here to explore movement in the spine. Maybe as you exhale, you press the earth away, rounding the back, gazing down to the navel. And as you inhale, maybe you drop the belly, lift the chin, expanding across the ribs, opening up the lungs. Moving as quickly or as slowly as you like. Some people like to take this more into a circular motion, maybe dropping the hips back towards one heel and then the other, moving forward, snaking the body forward, place more weight in the hands. Just noticing as you're moving, whatever you notice, feeling what you feel. Giving yourself permission to explore different shapes, different places. You're welcome to continue in this way. Or if you'd like to find a little bit of balance here, I invite you to begin to return to stillness as you're ready. And then maybe lift one leg behind you, feeling the shift of the weight over to the other leg. Maybe you take the gaze back to actually look at the leg in space, noticing where it is. Maybe you take the toes and turn them towards the side wall to open up through the hip. Just noticing what you notice. And at any point, feeling free to change sides or find the circle of the hip. Different motion. Some people like to find a little counterbalance with one leg lifted, reaching the opposite arm forward towards the glass behind me. And feeling free to change sides as you choose. Giving yourself permission to explore the space forward and back or in circular motions. You're welcome to continue in this way. If you'd like, you can begin to come back onto the hands and the knees. And I'm going to offer a little activation for the core and the body. I'm going to give you a count of 8, but if you'd like, you can come down at any time. Just keep that in mind. If you'd like to come along, maybe tucking the toes behind you. Again, checking in with the hands, feeling the texture of the sticky mat. Spread the fingers, pressing the pads of the fingers down into the mat. And then maybe beginning to just hover the knees off the mat about 1/4 of an inch. Holding here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Lowering the knees in 2, 1. Lowering down, just checking in, noticing the residue if there is any. Maybe reaching the arms forward and the hips back. Noticing any new temperature sensations in the body from a little bit of activation. I'm going to invite you into the same place 2 more times. So your choice, if you'd like to come again, if you'd like to stay where you are, or explore a different shape. If you'd like, beginning to come back onto the hands and hovering the knees for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, lowering the knees in 2, 1, lowering down and taking any shapes here that are calling to you, maybe reaching the arms forward, maybe coming back into some circles of the hips, some movements of the spine. And I invite you for one more chance here to activate the body a bit, knowing that it's your choice to take it or leave it. Hovering the knees, lifting up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Lowering the knees in 2, 1. Lowering down, checking in, noticing any sensations, feeling whatever you feel at this moment, knowing there's no right or wrong. It's all just information. Next, I invite you to begin to find your way into a shape like a capital A, with the hands and the feet rounding down into the mat and the middle of the body, the hips reaching up towards the sky. Option for movement or stillness here in this shape. Maybe pedaling out the feet. Some people like to lift one leg and then the other. Maybe opening up through the hip. Maybe making some circles. Some people like to begin to articulate through the spine, bringing the weight forward into the hands. Maybe coming into a high push-up shape, or dropping the hips down, pressing the earth away, getting a little back stretch. Some people like to flow forward and back in and out of the shape. Maybe creating a movement like an ocean wave. As you move, just noticing what is for you right now. Giving yourself permission to choose maybe a new option, maybe something different. Choose rest. I invite you now from that capital A shape, if you'd like to move into another shape from there, maybe beginning to step one leg forward, choosing which leg you'd like to step forward at this time. Maybe keeping the back knee lifted, kicking out through the heel, or maybe lowering the back knee. One thing just to keep in mind here is it may be more supportive for your knee, a little bit safer for the joint. So think about stacking the front knee over the ankle. You're always welcome to use some props here, maybe taking the hands to either side of the foot, propping them up on blocks. And some people like to take some twists here, so maybe reaching one arm up towards the sky, maybe on an inhale, And then maybe as you exhale, lowering back down. Maybe taking the other arm up on an inhale. And maybe lowering down on an exhale. Maybe your body would like to explore the opposite breath. Maybe lifting the arm on an exhale. Lowering down on an inhale. Knowing there's no right or wrong, just giving yourself the opportunity to explore, to choose. At any point, you're welcome to change legs, maybe stepping back and passing through the capital A shape, or maybe coming onto both knees, pausing for a moment with the arms reaching forward, the hips reaching towards the back of the room, maybe settling down onto the heels. In one of these lunge shapes with the hip or with the back knee lowered or lifted, I invite you to maybe just notice and check in with the hips and maybe visualize the psoas muscle, which is this deep muscle that connects the spine to the legs. It's actually the only muscle, and it's a series of muscles making that connection. So it has a lot to do with the structure of your spine, with your posture, with stabilizing. And this muscle is pretty deep. It's the deepest of the core muscles. So making that visualization. As you stretch forward, maybe just giving it permission to release. Setting the intention there. And then I invite you, if you'd like, to begin to make your way back into the capital A shape, or maybe coming back onto both knees and settling the hips back on the heels to stretch forward. Noticing what you notice, feeling what you feel after trying both sides. And then I invite you, you're welcome to find a similar shape, or maybe this time as you step one leg forward, maybe rising the arms up to a little bit of a higher lunge shape. And you're welcome to keep the back heel off the mat, or maybe turn the foot slightly so that you can plant the back heel. Noticing the difference in staying low with the leg forward. Noticing what may feel a little different or similar with the torso higher up. And some people like to link the breath with movement in the arms here. So maybe as you exhale, lowering the arms down to the sides, or maybe to goal posts. And then on an inhale, maybe rising them back up. Maybe just working in this forward and back plane. Or maybe beginning to find some twisting motions. Maybe as you exhale, twisting over to the side, opening up the arms to the side. Just checking in here, noticing any micro adjustments that your feet may be making as you find movement. Some people like to open up the hip here. Some people like to stay facing forward, knowing that there is no right or wrong. knowing that at any point you can change sides. Maybe exploring different ways that you can link the breath with your movement. If the person next to you is doing something completely different, that's perfectly fine. Just giving yourself permission to explore the shapes and the spaces that you choose at this time. And if you haven't switched sides and you'd like to find some evenness from side to side, I invite you to do so now. Maybe trying something similar or different on the other side. And then as you choose in your own time, in your own way, maybe making your way back into the capital A shape with the palms and the feet pressing down to the mat, middle of the body, the hips up high, or maybe coming down onto both knees and settling the hips back. I'd like to offer another opportunity here for a little bit of activation, knowing that at any time you can lower the knees down, any time you can come out. If you'd like to come along, I invite you to begin to find your way back into a capital A shape. And then begin to shift the weight forward into the arms. Maybe to bring the shoulders to stack over the wrists. Maybe holding here for 5, 4, 3. Lifting the hips again into 1. Coming back to a capital A. Maybe letting the head relax. Maybe giving it a little shake, a little nod. Just releasing. There'll be 2 more opportunities. If you'd like, you can begin to come forward to activate the muscles of it, drawing the belly up, pressing down into the palms, feeling the texture. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Lifting the hips to a capital A into 1. Remembering at any time, you can make a different choice. You can drop the knees. You can let it go. This time, as we come forward, I'm going to invite you at the end to come all the way down onto the belly. So if you'd like, you can find another way to get there. Or begin to make your way forward and hold 4, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Maybe dropping the knees and lowering all the way down onto the belly. Noticing what you notice, checking in if there's a residue. Maybe propping the chin on the hands or taking one cheek to the mat here. Maybe you just pause here in stillness. Or if you'd like to find a little back bending here, I invite you to begin to draw the hands, palms down next to the ribs. And maybe on an inhale, you begin to just lift up. And on an exhale, maybe lowering the shoulders down. Maybe inhaling to lift. Maybe exhaling to lower down. Maybe taking the arms out a little bit wider, maybe tenting the fingers here. Maybe checking in and noticing if there's a difference in this movement, if you activate the muscles in the backs of the legs versus keeping them soft. Maybe exploring an opposite movement with the breath. Lifting up on an exhale, lowering down on an inhale. Remembering there is no right or wrong. Just noticing what is for you in this moment. And giving yourself permission to move in a way that feels curious, exploratory. It's like a choose your own ride adventure. If you'd like to find a little bit of a different back bending shape here, maybe you draw the legs together behind you and take the arms back to the sides. Maybe taking a breath in. And then as you exhale, maybe lifting up, maybe interlacing the hands behind the back as you lift. Noticing if that creates a little activation in the body, or noticing if it doesn't. Maybe noticing something else. I invite you now, in your own time, in your own way, to begin to make your way back onto your knees, maybe pressing down into the palms. And I'm going to invite you to come into a standing shape next. So you're welcome to take any little movements in between, finding any shapes of rest or stretch in between if you'd like. If you'd like to just stay on your belly or find a different restful shape on the mat, feel free to do so. Maybe take a little fold forward over the legs. And then if you'd like to find your way into a standing shape, I invite you, if you choose, to close your eyes there. Or maybe just lower the gaze. Maybe keep the eyes open. Some people like to create a little visualization here in the standing shape. Maybe noticing the ways in which your feet are connected with the mat. Somewhat like a tree, imagining the root system of a tree coming off the bottoms of your feet, grounding down, securing you to the earth here. And maybe imagining the capillary action that draws the water, the nutrients up out of the ground into the root system, up through the trunk of the tree, imagining that drawing the energy up the legs, up through the torso, as the crown of the head reaches out towards the canopy, reaching to the sun. Maybe the fingers as leaves begin to reach up towards the sky or find other movement. Maybe noticing that rooting, that lifting sensation at the same time. Taking a moment here just to check in, noticing what you notice, feeling what you feel. I invite you to either stay here on 2 feet or maybe begin to shift the weight from side to side, forward and back, noticing the edges of the balance. Maybe eventually drawing one leg off of the mat. Always feeling free to use a block if you'd like to prop the lifted leg onto the block for some height. Or maybe drawing the lifted foot to the inside of the supporting leg. Always an option here to open up the eyes if you haven't already as you find balance. Maybe play around with the gaze, play around with the arms in this shape. Knowing at any point you can release, you can change sides, you can make another choice. Maybe there's a different standing balanced shape that you know from another practice or someplace that your body is seeking to go in this moment. Feel free to explore that. Noticing any little adjustments in the feet, those tiny little muscles supporting your whole body. And if you haven't changed sides, I invite you to do so. Feeling free to make movements with the arms, exploring the different options available to you. And in your own time, in your own way, I invite you to begin to find your way back onto 2 feet. Maybe bending the knees and taking a fold forward over the legs here. Or maybe stepping back into your capital A shape. Eventually, maybe making your way down into a seated shape on the mat. And maybe lengthening the legs out long or taking the bottoms of the feet together, letting the knees fall to the sides. An option here that might feel supportive is to just fold forward over the legs, or maybe reach the arms up to the sky, just focus on the breath and the movement. Reaching on an inhale, lowering on an exhale. Maybe taking a little twist side to side with the torso. And if you have the legs out long in front of you, you always have the option to bend the knees, maybe take a bolster underneath of the knees. Maybe take a block or a bolster underneath of the head. You can feel free to stay folded forward if that's where you are. You can begin to rise up and maybe fold forward again. Maybe using the breath, allowing the torso like an ocean wave to crash forward onto the beach, the legs. Inhaling and exhaling. Some people like to fold forward over one leg with one leg long and one leg bent. Feel free to try that. Moving at your own speed and your own time. And the next place I'm going to invite us to go is lying down on the mat, So at any point that you choose, you're welcome to move to that space. You're welcome to find a completely different shape. And as you find yourself on the back, if that's where you're going, I invite you to bend the knees. Let the bottoms of the feet come to the mat. Maybe walking the feet out from one another about a foot or so, maybe letting the knees knock together. Maybe putting a bolster underneath of the knees. Maybe shifting your awareness back to that visualization of the deep psoas muscle running from the lower spine to the tops of the legs, running through the hips, deep within the core. The psoas muscle is an important muscle. For many of us, if we're seated for a long period of time, can become tightened or shortened. And the psoas muscle also contracts when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, when we're constantly feeling the stress of that fight or flight response. And picturing the muscle deep within the body, giving it permission to release, feeling the back of the body supported either by the mat or the props. Noticing what you notice here, feeling what you feel. Without judgment, without expectation. Just allowing what is to be. And if you don't already have a block underneath of the sacrum, the flat part at the base of the spine, I invite you to consider placing a block there. Maybe a bolster. Finding a little bit of a supported back bend. Scanning the body, noticing any sensations. Noticing the texture of the mat where you're making contact. Noticing any temperature sensations, warmth or coolness, anything in the middle or outside of that spectrum. Noticing any differences in how the body feels from the right side to the left side, from the top to the bottom. Remembering if you're not noticing anything in particular in this moment, that's okay. Still noticing. And if you choose, another way we can invite the psoas to release a little bit is to draw the knees back up as you place the bottoms of the feet onto the mat. It's maybe a little easier to do without a bolster or props beneath you, but it's your choice if you'd like to remove them or not. If you'd like to give it a try, maybe just placing the feet on the mat about 1.5 feet apart and then letting the knees fall over to one side. And then maybe on an inhale, drawing the knees back to center. And maybe on an exhale, letting them fall over to the other side. Maybe inhaling to center and exhaling to release over to the side. If you notice that your body wants to move in a different way, maybe lengthening the legs, maybe pausing or finding a little extra stretch in one direction, feel free to honor what it's looking for. And at this point in our practice, I invite you to find any other shapes that you choose. One option might be to reach the legs up, the feet up towards the sky. Maybe with the entire back flat on the mat, or maybe with a block underneath of the sacrum. Allowing the blood to rush down from the feet and the legs. Another option might be to draw one knee into the chest, lengthening the opposite leg, and maybe changing sides. Any shapes of your choosing. Next, I'm going to offer a bit of a progressive muscle relaxation exercise. As always, you're welcome to try it on. You're welcome to let it go. You're welcome to come in and out as you choose. Or maybe just find stillness, maybe just notice the breath. If you'd like to come along, I'm going to invite you just to start at your feet, and we'll begin to make our way up the body as we sort of scan, contract the muscles, and relax them. I invite you first to shift your awareness to the feet, noticing the toes, noticing the arches, the heels, the ankles. Maybe tightening up all the muscles in the toes, squeezing everything in, maybe holding there for 3, 2, 1, and releasing, relaxing the feet. Maybe beginning to notice the calves, the shins, the knees, the upper legs, quadriceps, hamstrings, noticing, and then maybe contracting all the muscles in the legs, tightening up for 3, 2, 1, and then releasing, relaxing completely, letting go. And then I invite you to notice the torso, the hips, the belly, shoulders. Bringing the awareness to that area of the body. And then maybe tightening all the muscles there, tightening up for 3, 2, 1, and releasing. Relaxing. Next, I invite you to shift your awareness into the hands. Noticing the fingers, Noticing the palms and the wrists, maybe making a tight ball, squeezing the fingers together, tightening all the muscles up for 3, 2, 1, and release. Next, noticing maybe the forearms, the elbows, the upper arms, biceps, triceps. Maybe tightening everything up in the arms, maybe bringing it back into the hands, tightening for 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing. Noticing next, maybe the face, the neck, shifting your awareness to the jaw, the lips, the brow, the temples. Maybe tensing everything in the face, squeezing everything together, making a very funny, silly face as you tighten up for 3, 2, 1, and release. Allowing the brow to relax, allowing the jaw to relax. Noticing the points of connection here that your body is making with the mat. Feeling the back of the head connected, or maybe the front side of the body, depending on where you are. Noticing what you notice here, feeling what you feel right now. Next, I'm going to invite you to just join in a moment or a few moments here to just be silent on the mat. Just allowing yourself to be. If the silence is a lot, maybe just shifting your awareness back to the breath. Just noticing the inhales and the exhales. We'll be here for about 2 to 3 minutes. You're welcome at this point to stay lying still on your back, or on your belly, or on your side, wherever you may be. I invite you to begin to reawaken the body with some gentle movements, maybe some gentle breaths. Some people like to make little circles with the fingers and the toes, the smaller joints, the wrists and the ankles. Some people like to hug the knees into the chest, roll over onto the side. Some people like to take a long stretch. As you begin to find movement again, if that's your choice, just noticing as you gently begin to reawaken the body, what is in this moment. And if you'd like, you can begin to make your way up into an easy seated position. Feeling free to use any blocks. Feeling free to open the eyes or close them, or maybe just lower the gaze. I invite you here to just check in again with the breath. Just noticing as you take an inhale and an exhale. Maybe there's a particular place you feel the breath moving in the body, maybe in the belly, in the chest, in the throat, through the nostrils, or maybe there's not. Noticing what you notice. Feeling what you feel. I invite you to, on an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then maybe connect the palms overhead as you draw the hands to the heart. Maybe taking another breath in as you notice. And another breath out. So much for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the training, and let me know if you have any questions at all. My name's Katherine, and I'll be available here for a few moments after class. So thank you very much.